Eye of the Storm by Oke-Resh Azubuike. Chapter 8. The City of Dust and Stars. The caravan wound onward for many suns and moons until the desert began to breathe again, its golden throat giving way to flat plains, its silence replaced by the murmur of rivers and men. By the time they reached the gates of Timbuktu, the city shimmered like a dream. Walls of clay and bronze dust, towers rising like frozen fire, and the scent of myrrh, papyrus, and roasted millet thick in the air. Imezi's eyes widened as she stood before the great gates. "Is this still the world?" she asked. "Or the edge of heaven?" Alhaji Dogo smiled faintly. "Both, perhaps." Welcome to the city where words outlive kings. Inside Timbuktu, life hummed like a market song. Traders argued in tongues she could barely understand: Songhai, Hausa, Fulani, Arabic. Camels carried salt and gold. Scribes carried wisdom and ink. They lodged with a scholar named Imam Dandogo, an old man whose beard reached his chest and whose eyes shone with quiet lightning. He welcomed them with dates and cool water, and after hearing their tale, said softly, "Children who die and do not die are not ordinary. The desert does not give back what it takes unless the spirit commands it." Kezie frowned. "Spirit? You mean like the gods?" The old man, "The gods are only the faces of truth. You two, you are echoes of something older, something that walks the line between men and the unseen."
Over the following weeks, Imezi and Kezie lived within the House of Knowledge, a grand clay structure filled with manuscripts that smelled of dust and centuries. There they met others like them, scholars, mystics, and warriors from across Africa who studied both the seen and unseen arts. There was Fatu, the sword dancer of Gao, who could cut through air and make it bleed. Baba Tafa, a mystic from Bornu who taught them to listen to wind, for wind is the first messenger of the gods. And Ajwa, the healer, who carried a serpent in a calabash and said it whispered secrets from the deep waters. Under their tutelage, Imezi and Kezie trained from dawn until the moon rose high. Fatu taught them the way of the blade, how to fight with grace, not rage. Baba Tafa showed them the art of stillness, how to feel the pulse of every living thing. And Ajwa whispered the names of power, teaching them to call upon the earth, the air, and the fire within. One evening, as they meditated beneath the courtyard's baobab tree, Imam Dandogo entered silently. The air trembled with the faint hum of energy. "You have begun to remember yourselves," he said, "but the remembering is dangerous." Imezi opened her eyes. "Why dangerous?" He gestured to the horizon, where the desert slept like a crouched lion. "Because the same light that reveals truth also attracts shadows. You are anchors, beings through whom the balance of the world is held. The other ones know this. They will seek you." Kezie's hand tightened around the hilt of the dagger he carried. "Then let them come." Dandogo smiled. "They already have." That night, Imezi dreamt she was standing at the mouth of a river made of stars. A man emerged from the water, his face shifting, half familiar, half divine. "My child," he said, his voice both song and echo. "The world turns upon a forgotten wheel. You and the boy are its spokes. When you falter, the wheel wobbles. When you break, the world breaks." Imezi reached out. "Who are you?" "I am the memory of memories," he replied. "And I have loved you across 10,000 dawns." When Imezi awoke, her hands were wet, as if she had truly touched the river. The following days were restless. The air in the city grew strange. Whispers passed through the market of disappearances. Children gone. Merchants found pale as ash, their eyes open but empty. Baba Tafa gathered the young ones and said grimly, "The other ones are near. They walk through walls of wind." That night, the moon hung low and blood-colored. Imezi and Kezie stood guard atop the flat roof of the House of Knowledge. Below, the city slept, oblivious, beautiful, fragile. Kezie broke the silence. "Do you ever wonder what we were before this? Before the desert? Before even Umuaka?" Imezi turned to him, eyes reflecting the red moon. "I think we've always been this. Two souls, running through time, finding each other again." He smiled softly. "And maybe losing each other again." "Maybe," she said, "but not tonight." And then, as if summoned by her words, a cold wind rose, a wind that carried voices. From the shadows below, figures began to emerge. The other ones. Their eyes burned like dying stars, their forms half flesh, half smoke. Imezi drew her short blade. Kezie took his stance beside her. "Remember," she whispered, echoing Fatu's lessons. "Grace, not rage." The first of the creatures leapt, and in that instant, the world slowed. Imezi's mind cleared. She moved like water. Her blade sang through air and shadow alike. Kezie was beside her, his movements precise, fluid. They fought as if one heartbeat guided them both. When it was done, the roof was silent again. The other ones had vanished into mist, leaving only the smell of cold iron behind. Kezie wiped his brow. "You think this is just the beginning?" Imezi nodded. "No, I think this is the remembering." At dawn, Imam Dandogo found them still awake, sitting quietly amid the scattered embers of the night's battle. He looked at them with something between pride and sorrow. "So it begins. The wheel turns again."